Hello, and welcome to this segment of From My Notepads. As the fall 2014 semester draws to a close, I want to take this opportunity to speak about an issue that's been a topic of conversation on campus throughout the fall. At the start of the semester, we made a decision to take an expanded approach to notifying our students, our faculty and staff about sexual assaults that were reported on our campus. Across colleges and universities, sexual assault is an extremely underreported crime. Through this process, we notified you about 4 campus sexual assaults that were reported during the fall term. These safety notices were created in an effort to enhance awareness related to safety, education, to risk reduction, and to reporting options. These notices included information about the specific incidents, safety tips, and information about the Clery Act, which requires us to notify our community of certain criminal activities. This communication with you is one aspect of a more comprehensive and proactive approach regarding sexual violence. We believe that it's important to be open and transparent. Conversations about sexual violence and safety will continue during the spring 2015 semester. Dr. Joe Sherlin, our Vice President for Student Affairs, has charged a standing sexual misconduct leadership team to head a campus-wide effort that will focus on education, training, response, and support on policy review, and on our overall campus climate. Our efforts in the spring will include the development of an expanded sexual violence education program for entering students, a campus sexual climate assessment related to sexual violence, student leader training on bystander intervention, and a major campus event focused on sexual violence prevention. We will also continue the education and outreach efforts that we have provided to our students through trainings and workshops on this issue each semester. We are committed to bringing ongoing and systemic focus to these critical concerns. Some of you may not have met Kate Emmerich. She works in the Counseling Center here at ETSU and leads our OASIS program, which stands for Outreach and Advocacy, Sexual Information for Students. I've asked Kate to join me today to talk about the issue of sexual violence and, more specifically, the work she's doing here at ETSU. Kate, thanks for joining me, and talk to me a little bit about sexual violence across college campuses nationally.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, Dr. Noland. Really important statistics for students and faculty and staff to know. 1 in 4 to 1 in 5 women do experience rape or attempted rape during their college career. 1 in 33 men experience the same thing. 9 out of 10 of these instances are committed by an acquaintance or a date or a friend, not by a stranger. I think that's really important for the campus community and the community to understand, with the fear that has been expressed about hearing about all of these reports on campus. This is not a stranger in the bushes who is repeatedly perpetrating a crime with a weapon or using force. These situations are much more personal, and oftentimes it's happening with someone who is trusted.
Kate, you mentioned earlier that 1 out of 4 to 1 out of 5 young women across this country are victims of sexual assault. How do the trends that we've seen on our campus compare, or are they dissimilar to what you see nationally?
I would say that nothing has changed on this campus at all in the past semester, except for the way that this campus is responding to the issue. I think that an increase in reports is actually a positive thing from my perspective, because what that is saying is that this campus is communicating to students that there is somewhere that they can go to do that. So they have more knowledge about where they can access those resources, and also hopefully they understand that it's a safe place to do that. And so a lot of times, the reaction tends to be, there's an increase in reporting, what's going on, is there an increase in danger, are there an increase in sexual assaults? But as Senator McCaskill has said, who is a senator in Missouri who is very involved in the sexual assault movement with the Obama administration and the White House, what she has said is, you don't need to be worried about the schools that have students reporting, you need to be worried about the schools that don't. Because what that says, it doesn't say that there aren't any reports, or that there aren't any assaults, because we know that 1 in 4 to 1 in 5 women and 1 in 33 men do experience this. What it says is that maybe the students don't know where to go, or it's not being made transparent. So I think that the steps that this university has taken are actually making the campus a safer place and a more supportive place for students. And so what we're seeing is actually an improvement.
So talk a little bit about this fall on campus. We've been intentional with our change in reporting but could you talk a little bit about some of the things that we're doing on campus this fall and some of the things that are planned for the spring?
Absolutely. Well, in my job as the OASIS coordinator, a lot of the work that I do is supporting individual students who come and report that they have been assaulted. And so it's also important for students to know that the counseling center or any counseling center on campus is a safe place that people can come and report, and we are bound by confidentiality, so it doesn't have to go to public safety or student affairs unless the student wants it to. And they also have an option of anonymous reporting, so if they don't want their name to be identified by anybody or the name of the potential perpetrator, then they have the option of letting student affairs or public safety know about that, so that we can have more accurate statistics about how often this is actually happening without someone feeling like they're putting themselves into the spotlight. So that's something that has been ongoing and that this campus has been working on for a while now. Additionally, we offer trainings, workshops, classroom presentations, and all sorts of on-campus outreach events every semester here at ETSU. But additionally, what has recently happened is we had consolidated a task force between student affairs and the counseling center and other areas of the university in order to update our sexual misconduct policy, and that was implemented at the beginning of this fall. So students can go to the ETSU violence-free webpage, and they can get all sorts of information about the resources here on campus and in the community for someone who has potentially been sexually assaulted or knows someone who has been sexually assaulted or harassed.
So if you had a piece of advice for our undergraduate students, what would that piece of advice be?
My advice would be to get as much education as you possibly can. Come find me, come find anybody on campus that you know is presenting this information, because at OASIS we believe that education is empowerment. And so when students have information about what a healthy sexual relationship looks like, what a healthy relationship encounter looks like, that is the way that we can combat things like relationship violence and sexual violence. And a lot of students don't understand what that looks like. A lot of students, when they hear the word rape, think a stranger in the bushes, not potentially someone coercing them into doing something, someone who they've already invited into their apartment or dorm. So the kind of information like learning the components of consent and learning how to communicate with someone and learning how to have a safe sexual encounter, that helps to prevent sexual assaults.
So as you look at our campus this fall, what are we doing differently than other institutions in the country? And as we turn to the spring, where we're going to be very proactive and deliberate in education, training, wellness, healing, a lot of initiatives we'll launch forward. What are some of the things that we can look forward to in the spring? So 2 questions.
Absolutely.
What do we look like this fall, and what would you like us to see develop in the spring? Absolutely.
I've actually been really impressed with ETSU, and I feel like we are kind of a step ahead of everything. So the sexual misconduct policy was implemented this fall. Obama sent out a task force recently to address this issue, because this is, a countrywide problem. This is not just a problem at ETSU. The danger is no higher here than it is at any other college campus, but it is a problem. And so the President Obama has set out a task force to look at different colleges and universities and what they are needing to do to improve the climate and to improve addressing this issue. And one of the things that they said that they would like to see is for campuses to have updated sexual misconduct policy. Well, we've already done that. So this is something that we've been taking seriously before these things have started to come up. And additionally, we have in the spring a campus climate survey for the entire campus, another recommendation from Obama's task force that isn't required till next spring probably, but we're doing it now because we know that that's really important. We also have a training module for all incoming freshmen starting in January. That's also really important, because what that does is communicates to this information, at least the basic information about consent and about healthy relationships and about being an active bystander as soon as a student enters college here. So they can't begin the university experience at ETSU without some of this information.
And then we'll engage similar training opportunities for student leaders and for existing student organizations on campus, correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so what we also have is in late January, we are bringing in a major speaker who is really skilled in men's leadership training, and so they will be doing a keynote that is open to the university and community. But what they will also be doing is they will be doing a training with identified male leader students on campus, because we believe that what's really important is engaging men in this issue, and we think that male leaders have a really strong positive role in engaging other men on campus.
Okay, I want to thank you for what you do for our institution, and to our students, to our faculty, to our parents. In closing, if you look at crime statistics from across the South, we remain one of the safest institutions in the region. Our safety notices and the changes that we've deliberately made this semester are part of our work that will continue throughout the spring and beyond to institute further steps to ensure that we continue to be a safe community for everyone who calls ETSU home. If we stand united as a campus community against this issue, together we can bring about change. I hope that everyone has a fantastic close to the fall semester and that you enjoy the time away during the holidays for renewal and reflection. To everyone, Godspeed and happy holidays.